Hello, and welcome to another Daily Muppet. I'm been sitting in my home office again. Gonna be home over the holidays a bit, so don't have all my setup and thing yet. Just recording off my phone here. Been a few days since I've done a video, but I wanted to give some updates on some of the transfer things that are out there, as there's some decent reports that have come out, some that have some validity, some that don't. And then give an update on where things are at as far as I know still with the sale of Manchester United moving forward, what we can expect and where things are going. So, and of course, as per usual, this always ties into the this whole idea of transfers and everything itself. So firstly, I want to start with Dusan Vlahovic, because there was a report that came out that said United were going to make a big offer in January or something like that. And Vlahovic is one that I mentioned far back as October to keep an eye on because of Juventus's situation, and that United were watching it to see what would happen, see if he would become available and all of that. But as far as I know, as far as Vlahovic goes, the situation is that he has only been watched by United. There has been no contact with his representatives, no contact with Juventus, and nothing moving forward to indicate that they would be looking to make any sort of offer in January as of now. So I'm putting him lower down on that list. Yao Felix, same situation. Someone they're watching, but they have not been talking to. They're not in negotiations with, and it does not appear to be that they're looking to make a move for him as of now. I don't think he's really the fit that Ten Hag is looking for at striker, and that is obviously the number one priority. If they can sign somebody in January, it would be a striker. Ten Hag himself has been, will be, and continues to push for Cody Gakpo. So there was, when the whole Ramos stuff started coming out, showing that we were correct on the information that United had been watching Gonzalo Ramos, and they were interested in him, and viewed him as a good target. That's all true. And what I tweeted on that day was that, just in terms of information, was that I don't believe it's actually connected to Cody Gakpo, as I know Ten Hag wants Gakpo. This is just seemingly the profile scouts are watching to come up with names. So Gonzalo Ramos is of the profile of strikers that they're looking at, but it's not seemingly connected to Cody Gakpo. Cody Gakpo is someone who Ten Hag has wanted, obviously, is pushing for, and that has never changed. He wants that to be done. And the same day that, or the day before Jason Bert's article came out, I just got back in contact with a couple of the contacts that I have to ask them about the present situation on the strikers, and that's what I was told about Vlahovic. There's no contact there. That Gonzalo Ramos is not a striker that they're probably looking at for January, but for the longer term striker targets come summer. And then that Cody Gakpo is still the only name, as far as one person had heard, is still the only name he's heard. And that source, if that's the only name he's heard, it would generally mean it's the only name that's made it to an area where it would be discussed from a point of negotiation, contracts, things like that. That doesn't mean it's well advanced and done. It just means it's the only one that makes it out of scouting, as far as he knows, from the next step of scouting and watching to actually looking at what a potential deal would cost, looking at contracts, perhaps even preliminary discussions with agents, things like that. So Cody Gakpo, from that one source, that was the only area. From the other source, it was this was the wording: pushing to get Cody Gakpo done in January. Now, here's where the complication comes in. The price has been $50 million so far as I've heard for some time now, and that was the same price in Jason Bert's article where he said when in January United will make an offer of $50 million for Cody Gakpo. The problem is, and when I get the wording specifically pushing to complete Cody Gakpo, I've got to back that up a little bit and say who's pushing to complete Cody Gakpo, who wants to make an offer in January, because this is Manchester United and the way that Manchester United run. And especially now with the sale ongoing, you have to kind of figure out, all right, what does that mean? The coaches, Ten Hag, football side of things, are pushing to get Cody Gakpo in January. That's what they want. That's what Ten Hag wants. That's what he's pushing for. They expect the price will still be 50 million. I would take that as a good number, or at least that is the number that is coming from Gakpo's representatives that they believe PSV would accept. The problem has been, continues to be, and always comes back to, will the Glazers sanction that kind of spending in January? And you've seen millions of reports about this over the last month. I mean, insane numbers from reports saying that United have 200 million set aside for January, to that they're making offers for Gvardiol for 95 million, for, things left and right. And the fact is, at this point in time, nobody knows whether the Glazers will say yes to spending in January. Then you take what came out that this week, that TeamViewer and United have agreed to essentially cancel the sponsorship. TeamViewer's been asking out of the sponsorship for a year. They came to an agreement on a deal that United could buy back the sponsorship. This is not like a bad thing for United, but it's not a great thing either. It's essentially an indication that another sponsor didn't find the sponsorship valuable, or at least for their situation that they were in, it's not a working situation. So what's going to happen there is United are going to look for a new sponsor. When they get it, they buy back. They have to pay back a bunch of the money that was given to them, likely for the whole year. I'm guessing at a prorated rate, but we don't know the details of what they'd have to pay to get the rights back, and then they'll sell it to a new sponsor. So in essence, it doesn't make a big difference. It may be something they want to give to a potential new owner, say, look, you could bring in your own shirt sponsor, we're out of this contract, and, increase revenues that way. Point being, there's a lot in flux financially with Manchester United right now, and assuming that they're going to spend on Gakpo is tough. I wish I could say it, because it's one of those ones where, and I've been burned on this before, where all signs point to Cody Gakpo, 50 million, January, it's happening. And I feel confident about it. Player wants to come. Ten Hag wants him. He is for sale, and the price isn't that unreasonable. I feel very confident saying it'll happen any other time but now. And that's really the only complication at the moment. And then Gonzalo Ramos would still, as far as I know, be a target for summer. And I don't totally get that, except that I know Ten Hag ideally wants 5 forwards, 6 forwards, but 2 signings. And right now what he's got is Antony. He's got Rashford. Those are his only 2 players right now at a senior level who've been consistent, reliable, and healthy, right? Because Martial's coming back, obviously. If he can stay healthy, great player to have. Sancho isn't even training with the team right now, and I'll talk about that in a minute. He's got to get back and firing. And then obviously Ronaldo is gone. So we're down at least one player. You have young guys like Ilanga and Garnacho, but you can't really rely on that yet. So in an ideal world, you could see two forwards being signed between now and summer, because you don't know if both Anthony Martial and Sancho are going to work out. And so you need to prepare for that inevitability, because let's say Martial continues to struggle with injuries, and let's say Sancho doesn't get back in form. Even if you sign Gakpo, you've only got 3 forwards. You still need that striker. You still need another player and some flexibility. So I can see that 2 forwards are essentially being lined up as a possibility by, the whole football area, by scouts, analysts, obviously what Ten Hag is asking for. So the signing of Cody Gakpo, or the potential signing of Cody Gakpo, wouldn't necessarily stop a summer signing of a striker, just depending on the situation. And again, just to go back to the Gakpo thing, I have heard even that they've had discussions about potentially asking him wait till summer, potentially, if they cannot get the money from the Glazers right now to spend it. The Jadon Sancho situation is real interesting. So I was told all the way back in early October, I think it was, maybe mid-October, that before he got dropped before he got dropped, when he was still playing, that it was going really poorly, and I think this was before, United were said to be for sale, and the situation you had at that time from a Ten Hag perspective was there's no money for transfers in upcoming windows because the finances were so bad and you hadn't heard about the sale yet, or at least he hadn't been told about the sale yet, even though things were kind of in progress. And all the way back then, I was told it was very bad, the situation with Sancho, and that Ten Hag was already having to look at the possibility of selling him to get money back to buy forwards in the coming windows. Now, if the club is sold, you probably don't need to sell to buy. But the point being was he was down on the chopping block in terms of how well he was doing. Now, given the sale situation and all of that, you want to keep Sancho. You want to keep him. You want to get him back up and running because he's a great player. And if you don't have to raise the funds from him, you don't want to do that. You want to keep him. And I think, Ten Hag is really working to get him back into form by the summer. But, him and Martial are the two up in the air right now in terms of fitness, things like that, whether they can be relied upon for the future. So that's what I would say, with regards to that. And then with regards to the sale, just in asking about it, they're still expecting, anyone that I talked to is still expecting the sale to move forward in the first 3 months of the year. There's some reports from Bloomberg, places like that, but the biggest issue or worry is if the Glazers ask for too much money to where reasonable buyers are not interested, and that would include a lot of people. That seems to be almost the only doubt to the sale, is if the Glazers are too greedy, ask for too much money for the club above what it is worth. The report you saw there about, something 7 billion, 8 billion is too high for the club. Most buyers are looking for somewhere in the range of 5 billion plus the debt. And I still think it'll get done there, but everybody asked and talked to on this matter still believes that in the first quarter of 2023, things will move forward now, as the reports have said, as the targets have said, and that's still the expectation. But I wouldn't expect to start hearing names until January. And, and that's why I still have my doubts with regards to spending in actual, January itself. So that's kind of the update on the whole transfer situation. Last thing, right back. Yes, Wan-Bissaka will be allowed to leave. Issue is replacement and funds. If there's no funds, he won't go. And you see that report kind of turning that way. A good report. Wolves interested in him. United let him go if they can get a replacement. I keep still an eye on Ethan Laird in that situation for potentially being recalled. And then Brandon Williams is playing again, so I don't know, maybe he could be viewed as a backup. I don't think Ten Hag wants that, obviously, in summer. He wants a permanent one, but I keep an eye on Ethan Laird. Money. It's all about money. It's all about money in the sale at this point. Okay? Thank you for watching. I'll definitely be doing some more regular videos over the holidays and things like that as well, as I get information coming in, as club football returns, and as the World Cup wraps up and things get back to a bit of a normal leading into January. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications on. See you in the next one.